subscribe button, ding the bell to be notified, because if you do not ding that bell, then YouTube is not going to put a nice little notification on your phone that I am going live, because we are giving some awesome alpha for the cryptocurrency ecosystems. And if you are new to the space, this is a perfect channel for you. And if you are a seasoned veteran, you will find some alpha in this channel. And so just make sure you're following me at all of the socials on this channel. We're also streaming on Rumble, and we're also streaming to x.com, and we're even going to Twitch. So we're kind of just putting this thing out to the world in all forms. And we hope you guys have been enjoying the content so far. And easy way to do that, you just click on the main channel, go into the description, and also go into the members section on the main channel in the description. But guys, welcome. Let's talk about the stablecoins. Okay, so we produced a short earlier this morning, and we'll just play it real quick. It's based on the Genius Act. So the Genius Act is a historic stablecoin bill that was passed just yesterday, and it passed 63-22. So it was kind of unanimous vote that has become a topic of discussion and very controversial in terms of if it is a conflict of interest in certain areas of the government. This is what Elizabeth Warren is worried about. This is kind of what the Democrats is their gripe about it. They're like, look, you know, if the president in his World Liberty Financial Protocol can issue a stable coin, then there could be potential for them to, you know, do arbitrage and all these things, which is I'm sure is something that could potentially happen. But ultimately, what the bill, I think, is trying to give a better stablecoin framework to where, if it is done properly, where the assets are backed and it's pegged by treasuries and assets that are not as volatile, obviously, and we have it pegged by treasuries, dollar, gold, whatever it may be. And then that can set a better precedent for the entire space and how states will be issuing stable coins. But the thing that I am very interested in, and what I've been thinking this whole time, is that, okay, well, historically, when liquidity comes on chain, doesn't that bring the value of the token, the native token itself, up? Because that's what's happened with Tron. That's what's now happened with Solana. It's what's happened with Sui, Binance Smart Chain, and Ethereum, and all of these chains that are the main pick for institutional stablecoin issuance. And so this is going to, I think, ultimately increase the value propositions for a lot of these chains. And I think if we're smart, we'll be holding all of these coins that these stable coins will be issued on, because not only will you be able to have high liquidity in the stable coins if you want to hold stables on these chains, but the coin itself will just start increasing in value, because then there's just more liquidity. And we've been talking about how if we can follow the liquidity and follow the money, then we can be in the right places before everyone else is. And that's the whole point. You want to be early. If you get early into these chains, and especially before we go into what is, I think we will have an altcoin season, and Bitcoin is still in an uptrend. I think the supply shock mechanism that's going to happen with Ethereum too, and Bitcoin on these exchanges, is just right around the corner. We don't realize it, but these exchanges, and we'll show you in a tweet real quick, we'll tie this all together, how stablecoin issuance and also the supply shock for Ethereum and Bitcoin is going to send us into one of the craziest bull runs we've ever had. But it's also had some of the craziest and as many shakeouts as we've ever had, all in one, even, you know, pre-bull market. So the past 2 years has been crazy. You know, it's not even, no retail has been in sight of any of these moves. It's all been institutional money. So what happens when it's max escape velocity, peak velocity for retail coming in, institutions coming in, nation states coming in, sovereign wealth funds, countries, strategic reserves being set up by all these companies? Guys, you need to understand that we're still pretty early. And so if you can get skin in the game right now, then you're getting into a game that is going to be played on the world stage, not just by one country, but by the entire world. And so are you not bullish yet? So let's go. All right, so let's watch this little short that I posted. And if you don't mind, repost this if you're on x.com and help spread the algo, because we're going Morad style now. Morad's been raiding with his shorts, and he's doing a great job. So we're trying to catch up. Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So we have a historic bill that was just passed in the United States called the Genius Act. It's all centered around stablecoin regulations and given a better framework for the United States and the states herein to be able to work with stablecoins. Now, why is this important? Well, when we go into stablecoins, which is a digital dollar that's pegged to assets like the US dollar, some stablecoins are even pegged. So yeah, go and check that out. Repost it if you don't mind, and hit the heart button. That would be amazing. And let's get into real quick the chains that have the biggest total value locked, but then also have the most stables on the chain. Now, this is fascinating because if you guys remember, it's always been Tron under Ethereum that had the biggest minted stables. And I think at one point, Tron was at the very top. Now you start to see Solana being the second highest chain in terms of stablecoin liquidity. Now this is fascinating. This is why I think picking Solana as being one of the top performing altcoins still to beat everyone, regardless of the narratives that are running these up too, because trust me, there's narratives on these too. Arbitrum has had so many active addresses being increased over time and also solidifying itself in the top in the number 7 spot for stables, 2.6 billion. So that's huge. That's above Sui and Avalanche, which are also becoming some of the top picks with their own separate narratives. Multiple narratives being played out, all in these institutional finance for Sui and Avalanche is bullish. But guess what? Avalanche and Sui is also heavily involved in crypto gaming and the crypto gaming ecosystem. So this is what I start to think, you're buying two different assets. You could just say, hey, I'm just going to be bullish Sui and AVAX for this cycle and hold Bitcoin. And you can keep it as simple as holding 3 coins. That's it. 3 coins, because AVAX has a potential of going anywhere between 600 and 700% move to the upside if it breaks its all-time high. We did the analysis on Sui yesterday, and Sui has a potential, I think, to at least get to $14 when we start running. We did some Moon Boy measurements and some TA that I think is still pretty solid, and I think it's a very conservative bet that we go to possible escape velocity and new price territory about $13-14 on Sui. As if it starts to trade and keeps the pattern of the regression channel it's in right now, which we'll show real quick. We'll show you guys, and then we're gonna get into the Bitcoin price. We're gonna get into some Bitcoin TA. We're going to show you how Bitcoin has basically done this Wyckoff pattern that we've been studying and learning more about, and how it and how it looks on a daily time frame. So we'll show you how that has played out. But first, we'll show you the channel that we're talking about with Sui, and it's easier to see this on the weekly chart. So you can see here, we'll hide all the drawings. As you can see, it's harder to see when you're just kind of looking at the chart like this. But when you put the trend lines on from where the wicks are, I did it from where the wicks are on the top, and then on the bottom here, you can still do it on the wick, and it still gives you a pretty decent channel, but I just put it onto the right to the candle, so it just looks a little nicer. You can always make your little micro adjustments, because then it makes it even more, confirming your bias. But this is how I got the measurement to think, okay, I think, max potential here for SUI, if we go by the measurement of how long it took to get to each high, new all-time high, then we could be sitting at around a $13 to $14 SUI. And from where we're at currently, if we stay here and we don't break back down into previous support, which would be like under $3, because right now, or previous support was under $2, but then we had this God candle that brought us back up into the middle range. Now you can see that we're in this middle price range from where we've had also previous support that brought us to brand new all-time highs. So it's either we go and test $3, we test $3 again, and then we can pump from there, or we could do something like this. We can do something like this right here, where we come up here, we retest the all-time high. But this is kind of where I'm getting my price predictions from, where I think SUI could hit, people are going to be taking some profits for sure above on these levels. But if we're here on a SUI, I'd imagine Solana is probably getting close to breaking its all-time highs, or definitely already has broken out of the pattern that we've been calling for Solana, which is this cup and handle pattern breakout that can bring us to that price. A lot of people are calling for $1,000 Solana, and you ask yourself, well, how can that happen? Well, bringing all this data together and knowing that Solana is the top 2 in stables, but then also active addresses is crazy. I think it's also the top in that as well. So if we go to actually active addresses, Solana is the top out of every single chain, which means, and also it's got some of the most protocols as well. If we were to go to like top protocols, it's in ninth actually. The Polygon does really well in terms of protocols. Got a lot of dApps. But yeah, active addresses, Solana's at the top right under Tron. And then TVL, we can just go DeFi TVL, it's right under Ethereum. So I would be watching these chains. Specifically for me, I'm keeping my eye on Avalanche, SUI, Arbitrum, Tron, Solana, Ethereum. But look, you got Barachain. Shout out to Barachain for being super bullish on ticker Bitcoin. They're helping ticker Bitcoin develop and have their own chain called blockchain. So that's something that's going to be coming down the pipe. Nice little experiment from the Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 Inu community. Shout out to them. But yeah, I'm not the only one that has been on this thing though about the stable coins. I know it's so boring. Oh my gosh, stables. You don't really think about stable coins and think of gains. But if you think about, stables have to be issued on a blockchain. So this is how we actually get the value. And we go, okay, well, then we should probably have some bags of these particular coins going into the next few years. All right, so so yeah, Marty Party is one of those. You said, what tokens will benefit from stablecoins being legal tender, which is what I think the Genius Act, and why there's been so much focus on stablecoin legislation before we get into all the other Bitcoin strategic reserve bills and all of that. Like the stablecoin, if you remember, Cynthia Lummis was saying the roadmap is to get stablecoin legislation through and get it to where like businesses and banks and people can start to get familiar with the stablecoin economy. And then once that's settled, then we can start going into how states can start to have Bitcoin or whatever, or an altcoin basket ETF of things that they would like to have as a reserve or whatever it may be. And then that's kind of how we're going to start going down the line of like the legislative process through all this cryptocurrency stuff because this eventually we'll be just transacting in the stable coins through Apple Pay and through everything, it'll be seamless. This is when it's going to go full escape velocity with mainstream adopting crypto without even really realizing it, because it's just going to be like a function of the pay wallet. It's just going to be an easy function. It already kind of is, but then you're just going to be using crypto on-ramps instead of banking on-ramps. That's all it is. And it's just fusioning and morphing, and then all of a sudden there's going to be a whole group of people that don't even realize they're doing it, but then we've been here the whole time knowing that like AVAX and blah, 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 and this chain and that chain is affiliated with this bank, and they're affiliated with Amazon, and this one's doing this for the government, this one's doing this for this, and we just are holding the native currency. But then normies and people, they're just going to be transacting with stable coins, not even freaking knowing it. So the beauty of this is that we get a chance to early invest in something that the entire world is going to be using. That's what being early is all about. So the blockchains that have the most network stablecoin volume and their native token will appreciate. So we've been thinking about this, and so Marty Party is strengthening this thesis of where we should be, and it's also who owns the most Bitcoin. So who owns the most Bitcoin and actually has Bitcoin in their strategic reserves as a chain, that's going to increase their value as well. The blockchains that can support high capacity scale without speed degradation, their native token will appreciate the most. So I think Solana is proving that. And then also Tron. Some networks with high liquidity will be used for high value, lower volume transactions, but most users of stablecoins will want near instant settlement when purchasing goods and services. And so when you buy a coffee with stablecoin and have to wait 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, you will choose a network which is near instant, 2 seconds or less. And so will the businesses and merchants throughout the world. So this is what's interesting. Slow illiquid network tokens will depreciate. Speed will win when it comes to stablecoins. So change your allocation now if you're exposed to native tokens of untested, slow, unproven blockchains, and especially ones which have not had USDC issued on them. So that's very important. Those will probably fail regulation and not participate in the $100 trillion stablecoin economy. And we've been talking about how the total cryptocurrency market cap is going to get to this crazy number of being at like 15 trillion just for Bitcoin. And then you got to think about the stablecoins. So then that's also, think of like 15 trillion just in Bitcoin, and then think 15 trillion or more plus. He's at Marty Party saying 100 trillion. So this is massive, 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 massive. So the total cryptocurrency market cap is going to be astronomical. So AKA, we are here early as hell. And so I think the goal is to just don't F it up, and we shouldn't be over trading, and we should just focus in on this simple fact. And this actually could help your portfolio and to delegate, like, okay, well, what do you got to think, like, okay, well, am I holding any of these tokens? And if you're not, then you need to reassess and think, okay, well, there's probably a reason why there's so much value coming into these specific chains. And then you can think, let me just go down the line and go down the list and think, okay, if I want more risk or upside potential as opposed to what the risk is, because high risk, high reward, but also high risk of no reward at the end as well. So you have to think about it that way. But you can go down the list and think, all right, well, okay, Polygon is 14th on that particular list. If we go to stables, it's 7th. So you go down the list: Polygon, Avalanche, Aptos, Sui, Tron, Near, all of these. You can think, okay, under Solana, if Solana is going to be the top performer of the world, what's going to be right up under it? Then you can go down the line. Okay, Mantle, World Liberty Financial, the Trump team. They bought a bag of Mantle. That could be one little signal. Okay, that could possibly be a top performer. I think they also bought some Say. They added some Say. This is how I've been analyzing the market. Simple things of just like macro, zooming out macro and looking at where the money is going to go, because the stable coins is the thing. That's where I think that's the golden goose of how crypto actually goes into full mainstream bank adoption, full throughput, and it's going to be based on some of these chains. Whatever chain is going to actually be able to sustain the transaction throughput and the instantaneousness of going and just booping your phone on the register, and also the use of credit card or debit cards. That's also what we're going to get into in probably a complete separate video, but then also a live stream where we'll break down specific debit cards and services that are ramping up their products and very much solidifying deals with MasterCard and Visa to be able to have these stable coins and have these cards work at all the merchants, like everywhere. So it's coming pretty fast, guys. And I think that's what will ignite the altcoin season. But it's not just that. We also have to have Ethereum. We have to have Ethereum do well too. So we always have to remember that if Ethereum's doing well, then the alts are doing well. If Ethereum is just in the tubes, then it's kind of signals for everything to just not really do as well as it could. But now we've noticed when Ethereum starts to wake up, then we start to get a little bit of a signal. Okay, so we wanted to show you guys this chart here. The chart here is crazy. So we let's see. Oh, we have to go to the daily. I think that was where it lined up like perfectly. All right, so if you look at this pattern, this is the Wyckoff pattern. It's probably a lot easier to see, so we'll just bring it down here. So this is essentially what Bitcoin has been doing. And what's going on, everyone who's popped in? I know that the chat is a little quiet. But thanks for coming in. Thanks for smashing up the likes. Consider becoming a member of the channel so you can post some emojis. And then also I can add more emojis. They limit the amount of emojis that I can add. It all depends on who is a member of the channel or how many members I have. So definitely consider joining the channel. All right, so let's get into this. This Wyckoff accumulation. So this is essentially what happened with Bitcoin. You know, we had these levels up here that we off the all-time high, consolidated. Can even match up pretty well. Like right here, consolidated, and then we tested back up. Okay, and you can see it. That was the test of the resistance to see if we could break it. And if it's not broken, then this is what this is. It's the reaccumulation. Okay, and this is what's so fascinating is that it lines up perfectly right here of that test. And then look, go. It goes up. Tries to test again, it hits that wall, goes back down, and then that's the springboard right here of support, and it lines up with this support right here. So that was basically the springboard of support to bring us back up to test into the next range, which when you look at it right here, lines up perfectly with how the accumulation went. So then it brings it back up and it zigzags, hits those resistance lines. And then we just have to see exactly. And what's funny is if you put it right here and then you put this line on this price line exactly where it came from, it puts us at 111,000 to line up with the accumulation. So it could happen literally at any moment. That's what is tricky right now. I want to go long so bad, because if we go long and it really does springboard off of this, then I mean, it's going to fly. It's going to crush through the all-time high, and then once it goes to the all-time high, we've seen what it does is it can start to escape. It'll start to go like this. You start to watch the 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute candles, and it starts to go, and it just starts to go. Like, you start to see it. We were watching this happen. Remember, guys, like just not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, where it was just like, it started just flying. And it was fun to watch because it just cleared, thousands of dollars in price, and just it was adding liquidity, and it was just starting to come in. And so this can happen, and we would love for that to happen if we can get into a particular long, and it hits that price point that we're eyeing, that 110 or 112. Some people are calling for 120. Once it breaks that, like, it'll shoot up to 120 really fast. That's also something I think can happen, a high chance. That right now I feel like there's more of a chance of it popping to 112, cooling off a little bit, and then escaping again. Because you can see here you got this, and then it's gonna escape to 112. It might cool off a little bit, and then that's going to be the next level to break into is 120, which we have marked right here. So that's kind of my price prediction here. I feel like that's pretty conservative. That's it's in the middle. I'm not too bearish, and I'm not overly bullish. I understand that we are going to hit some levels, and if anything, I mean, we've tested this up here those 2 times. That was enough, and we've you think we went low enough, 74,000. I mean, and that was key support, and we bounced off of this line 2 different times. I think if we were to break down to 60, if we were going to really go any lower, we would have just broken down to 69 or in this range, but instead, we went the opposite direction. We've had more buying pressure coming in when we hit those lows because of the nature of this narrative that there's not going to be enough Bitcoin to go around. Exchanges don't have enough, and there's going to be a supply shock. People like Michael Saylor with Strategy are accumulating like crazy every single week. Nation states are buying it. It's going to be a race to who owns the most Bitcoin. And we know now by data that it's the best store of value to beat the stock market and gold and fiat and whatever yield you're receiving. If you buy and hold Bitcoin, DCA into Bitcoin, it's proven to go over about 150% year over year since 2012. So there's been nothing that has outperformed it. It's been the best performing asset in the past 12 years. And that's why big money is coming into it. It's not because someone's being convinced by another guy to be the fool or the chump or whatever the saying is to convince you to think that you're a fool for buying it, so then you don't buy it. So then the people that are actually really are accumulating because they know, or at least they understand that the money is printed out of thin air and it's going to be devalued, and the only way that you can actually get purchasing power from your hard-earned work and the money that you get is you have to put it into something. You have to put it into something. And see, they won't directly teach you that. You have to learn that yourself, because the system is designed to create workers who are reliant on the system due of debt. And the way that the system makes money is by putting you in debt, and you pay interest. They don't want you earning yield and doing what they're doing on the opposite side. And this is, or becoming financially stable and financially literate. So then you learn these things, you don't get caught up in the system, and then you can use the system to your advantage and not be worked in the system. You're having the money work for you, not the other way around. So you're not going to be taught this. You have to learn this. You have to discover this. And this is how ultimately you'll understand why things have gotten more expensive and why it's becoming harder to do the things that your parents maybe did with a lot less money back then than what it costs to do things now. It's because the system is rigged against you. Smash up the like if you feel that. I know some people I've realized that when I'm live streaming, they kind of listen to it almost like a podcast. They might actually be working. So shout out to all the people that are listening almost like a podcast. Like Cabrera, he's working and listening. And no need to apologize at all. If that is how you like to watch or listen, I mean, by all means, that's totally cool. That's kind of how it is, honestly. Like it's set up like that, where if I can keep my speech well enough in line, then you can almost listen to it like a podcast in the background. But yeah, the Wyckoff accumulation, it looks like it's playing out here. But we can like clear the drawings and look into a, shorter time frame setup, see what's happening on the 5 or the 10 minute, the 10 minute looked like it had a really nice test of this kind of double bottom, and then it tested up into 106 again. And then now it's possible, because that's a double top. If you're looking at the 10 minute, that's a double top. And I don't like that, because then that could just mean it's going to just try and test back down here. For sure. You can even, you can see it already tested down to the 382, but then I think even the 237, the 103, they could probably bring it to 103. By they, I mean the exchanges. Emmanuel said, I get off by 4 p.m. here, and it aligns perfectly with when you start streaming. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so that's it's perfect. So then everything lines up for you. I like that. Do I have any trades open currently? No, I don't have any trades open currently. I'm trying to just see where I can get a good entry. I would imagine a lot of people are like that. If you're a little sidelined, or you feel a little sidelined and you think, oh man, like if I don't get an entry in right now, like I might miss the run, because like I said, I do believe that we could be like popping at any moment now. Because the next levels that the fib are showing is that exact level that we marked just 5-10 minutes ago when we're looking at the Wyckoff, is 110,000. Because the all-time high was 109. So, I mean, I think if we clear the all-time high and we start doing that thing where Bitcoin starts to go, it starts to just go, and there's excitement, then that level right there between 110 and 111 will be shooting up there real fast. And to get a long position from here to there, I mean, you're looking at 6% on Bitcoin, and you could do really, really well if you can catch the entry. But if we're looking at the fib retracements, it's very well potential that we could, as the psychology of the market, and you think, if I'm thinking this, there's thousands of other traders that are thinking the same thing, that, oh man, I don't want to miss the blah, blah, blah. And then they go long, and then the market traps them and they liquidate us. And this is what they'll do. They will do this. They will do this. And they will do it because they can't help themselves. So potential here is that we got rejected off the 618, and we're just going to come back down. We might test that 382, and if we don't bounce from there to then start testing back up, then I'm looking at entries right here. I'm looking at entries right here. I'm not looking at any entry right here, because this is, I think, is fake out territory. It's potential that psychology of me thinking, oh, I don't want to miss it. The market makers are like, oh, we're going to trap you. Ooh, we're going to trap you. They might even try. They might even push it above the 618. They might even push it right there. Get you to go long, and then they'll go like this. Yeah. So just be careful. That's all I got to say. If you're trying to catch an entry, this is, I can just kind of feel there. Look, I don't see the volume. Look at the volume of these candles and the difference, and look at like where what's trying to do now. It's just like nothing's happening. But with your emotions, you could completely ignore all those things that I just mentioned and go, well, I don't want to miss the blah, blah, blah. And then, so I think potentially setting a limit order at this particular price, at the fib, at the 104.69, there's like 104,600, there's 104,075, and then there's 103,003. So I'm looking at those levels, and I just want to try and be patient. And I feel like if I can be patient and we end up going low like this, and there's some support here, then that could be the push. Now, this can be completely invalidated if we start flying and we end up testing up to the 786, which is 106,000 where we just were, but that was where we just got rejected two times. 1, 2, downtrend. But how long can we do this? That's the question. How long can we do this? But shout out to everyone who's here. Thank you so much for letting yourselves be known in the chat. We appreciate it. All right, let's go. Let's go through. Let's keep going through this because I think I got super distracted. All right, change your allocation. Yep. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this. The Simpsons has been predicting stuff for years. And the conspiracy is that the writers of The Simpsons are very deeply connected with the Illuminati, who basically plan everything that happens in our reality from the back end and from the shadows. What do you think? But this Simpsons episode, this episode circa 1997, shows this bar hangout, or it's called the Crypto Barn, a place for codes. I just thought that was super cool. I liked that popping into my feed. All right. Check this out. If this vote passes, crypto becomes legal tender, in which it did. And so focus. Execution networks that move stablecoin will reach higher market caps than Bitcoin. So this was kind of our thesis. Very similar. This is bullish. I'm gonna try and apply for this. Let's see if I get approved. Gemini announces a Bitcoin credit card with 4% rewards in Bitcoin. That's huge. So 4% back in Bitcoin. Let's go. So I know with like the Coinbase card, you can get rewards back in Bitcoin. You can pick, I think, up to 4 different cryptos. You can pick to get USDC, Bitcoin, Polygon, I think Cardano, and Algorand, I believe, was the list of coins. To check it again. But yeah, so it's not the only card that you can earn those rewards, but just the fact that it's a credit card, you can get Bitcoin and rewards. It's very, very attractive. And what's interesting though, yeah, and I thought about it, I was like, I think it's the same card though. Haven't they had a... Yeah, I thought, yeah, so yeah, BG Badger's right. It's the same card they had for years. They're just tweaking the marketing and the color of the card. No news here, just a new marketing angle. And yeah, so I was like, but hey, it worked because it just got me for a second. But yeah, it's definitely attractive. Just trying to get people back on the train of using crypto debit cards or credit cards. This is some bullish news as well. We're partnering with Random House Kids. It's the world's largest children's book publisher, Pudgy Penguins, and they are going to release The Worst Birthday Present Ever, which is, I guess, going to be this big book collaboration with the Pudgy Penguins. And Pudgy Penguins is going huge. They're going all out to try and establish themselves as like a worldwide household name, like massive branding here. So might want to think about owning some some Pingu or some Pudgy Penguins or something, because this is Pudgy Penguins. They are not playing around. All right, so in other news, in altcoins, we have the XYO Layer 1 public beta test. So the way that you can do this is that you can download the XL1 wallet, and there's going to be 3 different addresses. So you have like the testnet address, you'll have the mainnet, which will eventually launch. Then you'll have your mainnet address, and then you'll have there's another one. I guess there's like a testnet, beta, some other type of network, and then there's the mainnet, which isn't launched yet. But this is your opportunity to kind of play around in the ecosystem. And so just wanted to remind you guys, I just downloaded it on the Brave browser. And so you'll get like a seed phrase. You have to save the seed phrase, use a password, so basic wallet function. So keep a lookout for that. We'll repost it. And this is the tweet that I wanted to show you guys about the supply and demand mechanisms that are going to kick in with Bitcoin and Ethereum here very soon. Because if you see Ethereum's ratio of coins on exchanges at all-time lows, Bitcoin's ratio is at lowest since November 2018. And so these charts we've been showing a few times here and off and on through the past year and a half. And so those charts are still relevant because it just shows that at the rate of how when Bitcoin's going and breaking all-time highs and then ETH starts to go and start breaking all-time highs, it's interesting. The supply on exchanges is going down at the same time. So we have this price metric. Like here's the price, and then the supply is going the other direction. And this is bullish. Why is this bullish? Is because if the exchanges are going to have to offer a premium at whatever Ethereum is left on the exchanges and what's left on, and with especially with Bitcoin. So this is going to make the price go up substantially. It's just because it's a supply shock. And so I think this metric is going to just be another factor of how we could hit $200,000 or $250,000 like by the end of this year, for Bitcoin, and how ETH can break all-time highs and get to maybe even 6K this year, 7K. I think 7K by this year would be fantastic. I mean, I think we'd all be pretty happy if ETH even just goes to its all-time high, because we've seen what it does to altcoins when it just goes up 20%. ETH just moves up 20, 30%, and alts get so happy and so jumpy to move that it can make us thousands of dollars like overnight. Because if ETH can move, then these alts can start to actually really move. So if we can just position ourselves accordingly, then we really can do some magic here. I really think so. I think the ETH supply shock is coming. I think Bitcoin is already, you can see it playing out in real time, the supply shock, because we've been able to hold over 100K. Like that's huge. I mean, they were trying to get us again at that 100K resistance. Like they were really trying, and look, they were unsuccessful multiple times. So that's what is fantastic. I mean, look how many times they're trying to bring it down. They can't. I mean, the buying pressure is so strong right now that it's holding the price above in new ranges, which before they were just smacking us down. You know, they were just smacking us down, kept us below this range. So I think we're looking good. And look, you can see it's kind of like a little spring pop. It's like all we're doing is taking a cool off here. That's where I'm eyeing. I'm eyeing this right here. But I think it's looking good. Ultimately, it's looking good. I will say, though, I am feeling like now that test, like this could be this, like what I was saying, that they could bring it back down to this level 104 on the fib. But it's like, yeah, all the dips are being bought up really quick. Yeah, Emmanuel, you're right. All the dips are being bought up super quick. And so, I mean, this could be the run to push us back over right here. And we could possibly get an entry. If we can get an entry and we can do it, we can clear it. Oh my gosh, that would be so beautiful. I would love that. I mean, wouldn't you? Is anyone else like trying to get an entry right now? Are you in an entry? We like using this Alex Hormozzi's How to Win at Anything. and it's true. Like a lot of this stuff is very true. Is like wealth is made during the hard times because the largest percentage of the market transfers to the few that are left standing. And I equate that to kind of like the cryptocurrency markets and also doing a YouTube channel or doing content, is that if you quit, then you're going to get lost in the sauce of the algorithm, and no one's going to just all of a sudden, oh, let me discover this video. It doesn't happen like that. You have to grind in here. You have to grind and put yourself out there so much, and that's just the reality. And the last few people that end up standing and are seen will be the ones that get the most market share. And so I always have to remind myself that when I feel that sense of like, oh my gosh. But then you have to be the last one standing. You have to be resilient. You have to have, you know, can't think of the word. Oh man, it's like starting to escape now. Lord have mercy. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I think we covered enough. Just a couple quick reminders, real quick. There is a OURBIT trading competition. So it's the OURBIT VIP exclusive futures contest. So if you trade and earn up to, if you can trade and earn up to 2,000 USDT futures bonus plus score a shot at the lucky draw. So the more you trade, the more you win. And so if you go and sign up with my link right here in the post, it's also in the link in the description, you can take part in this competition. And also you will get a sign up bonus with my link as well. And I think that's it. Talked about XYO. We talked about the stable coins. Yeah. Talked about the supply shock coming in. I think that's good. All right. Well, we appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for tuning in today. And just do me a favor, if you don't mind, hit the like button before you leave and reshare and repost this live stream on whatever social media platform you like to use. And I hope all of the info that we displayed and gave you today helped in developing some of your cryptocurrency journey, and it will help us to solidify a plan that will be able to have us gain massive success in the cryptocurrency ecosystems. All right. Peace out. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.